Hi, everybody. In this video, I want to talk about how Harry has often described himself as a perpetual orphan, even though he isn't. Losing Princess Diana so young left a wound he's been trying to fill his entire life. And Meghan, she saw that crack in his armor and stepped right through it. But before you think this is only Harry's story, ask yourself, have you ever had parents who were alive, maybe even sitting in the same room, but not really there for you? That ache doesn't disappear just because someone's physically present. It can follow you into adulthood, shaping how you attach, how you trust, and how you crave love. And yet, let's be clear, none of this is an excuse for how Harry has treated his family. He's been cruel, dismissive, and outright awful to the people who loved him the most. Wounds can explain behavior, but they don't justify it. What we're looking at here is a dangerous combination: an unresolved orphan wound and a partner who knows exactly how to step into it. That dynamic can reshape an entire identity and leave everyone else, especially his family, paying the price. Let's get into all of this, but before we begin, here's the intro. Welcome to Revealing the Narc. Join me as I highlight narcissistic traits in celebrities and public figures. Everything here is in my opinion and not professional advice. If you enjoy the analysis, please like and subscribe. The article I want to go through today is titled Prince Harry's Second Mom He Secretly Visited in Africa Without Meghan Markle. The Duke of Sussex extended his trip to Botswana, and this was published just 2 hours ago at the time I retrieved the article, and so it's very recent. The article begins, since settings Harry prefers to keep his time away from Meghan and their kids at a minimum. With this in mind, it came as a surprise when the California based royal spent over a week away from his family during his recent visit to Africa. His trip began in Angola, highlighting the work of the Halo Trust, a charity that works to remove landmines and other explosives from battle zones. Following his time in Central Africa, rather than heading home, Prince Harry is believed to have traveled to the neighboring country of Botswana. Let's pause here. For Harry, prolonging his stay and adding in Botswana wasn't casual, it's symbolic. This place is his escape and his refuge. And something significant, in my opinion, must be happening in his life in order for him to prolong his stay. And this is actually what the article is alluding to. That's why in the previous portion of the article, it mentions that Harry usually quickly goes home. The article continues, the Duke of Sussex has spoken passionately about Botswana in the past, saying he feels deeply connected to this place and to Africa, partly because he discovered Botswana during one of the most difficult times of his life. I came here in 1997 or 1998, straight after my mom died, so it was a nice place to get away from it all, he said at the time. It's a sense of escapism, a real sense of purpose. I have some of my closest friends here over the years. Let's pause again. Harry's life changed forever when his mother passed away, and he's been chasing mother figures ever since. Bringing Meghan to Botswana on a third date was and is incredibly risky. He is already vulnerable there. It is his escape, and connecting Meghan to it really accelerated his attachment to her at a prematurely because it happened in such a short amount of time. The article continues, on the topic of his friends in Botswana. It is believed that during his most recent visit, Prince Harry called in on someone he considers a mother figure, filmmaker Tanya Teague Jenkins, whom he calls Mom. Tanya and her husband, Mike Holding, played an important role in Harry's life for many years after they met in Botswana when Harry was dating Chelsea Davy, with Harry documenting the first meeting in the pages of Spare. The article then goes on to quote Prince Harry, and it says, both Tej and Mike were talented, brilliant, and wholly devoted to wildlife. I wanted to spend as much time as possible with these two, not just on this trip, but in general. The problem was, would they let me? I'd often catch Tej looking in my direction, sizing me up, a curious smile on her face, as though I were something wild that had unexpectedly wandered into their camp. But instead of shooing me or using me, as many would have done, she reached out and petted me. So I think this paragraph really describes how Harry wants to be loved. When Harry recalls Tish petting him and treating him like something wild, what he's really describing is how he wants and how he recognizes love. And it includes unconditional acceptance, no judgment. The article continues of their bond, Harry added, she and Mike were the first people ever to cherish whatever wildness was still inside me, whatever hadn't been lost to grief and to the paps. They were outraged that others wanted to eliminate this last bit, that others were keen to put me into a cage. Of their time together in Africa, Harry added, she could tell how at home I felt with them. She said, I think your body was born in Britain, but your soul was born here in Africa, possibly the highest compliment I'd ever received. And this part really gives us a spotlight, or it shines a spotlight on how much Harry really doesn't like attention and paparazzi, because he's describing that everything is he's lost, or the wildness that was there before his mother passed away has been lost to grief and paparazzi. It does give insight into his perspective and his feelings toward putting his life out there. And I would imagine this is the same thing, the same issue he likely has with Meghan, putting their life on social media. The article continues, the prince even explained how he began to refer to Tisha's mom, sharing, one afternoon as we were all getting ready to go for a walk, Tish started nagging me and I said, okay, mom. It just flew out of my mouth. I heard it and stopped. Tish heard it and stopped, but I didn't correct myself. Tish looked shocked, but also moved. I was moved as well. Thereafter, I called her mom all the time. It felt good for both of us, though I made a point always to call her mom rather than mum. There was only one mum. So I do want to pause here again because we don't know for certain that this felt good for Tish. She may have been uncomfortable with it, but to express that to Harry, I would imagine, would be incredibly, incredibly hurtful to him. I also want to focus on this started nagging me section. This whole thing feels childlike, as though he reverts to a younger emotional state. If you've ever felt yourself slipping back into old wounds, craving a parent's comfort from someone who isn't your parent, you'll recognize what Harry's doing here. It mirrors how people with unresolved grief or insecure attachment often recreate parental bonds in adulthood. So, what is going on here with Harry? I believe he has this perpetual orphan identity, but remember, he isn't an orphan. His dad is alive. And even as an adult with a living father, he emphasizes this identity. These leads him to seek substitute parents, mothers like Tish in Botswana, and it reinforces its orphan narrative. We've heard so many times that this person is a father-like figure, this person is a mother-like figure. This is one of Harry's biggest vulnerabilities. The next is he seeks out emotional replacements rather than integrating his pain. Each new parental figure allows him to sustain the idea that someone is caring for him, even when the original attachment, his mom, is gone. And this is exactly where Meghan could have stepped in by positioning herself as the only one who truly understands him, weaponizing his fear of abandonment and keeping him dependent. And finally, there is this little bit of narrative control. It's not just how he feels, it's how he frames his identity to the world, the perpetual orphan, even when he has a dad, a wife, and children. He constantly wants to present himself as a survivor of neglect and trauma, and yet at the same time, he doesn't offer or seek solutions for ways to heal. And that's what makes this perpetual. So now let's talk about how Meghan could have used this to exploit Harry. The first is by positioning herself as his only source of nurture. Meghan could have framed herself as the one person who truly gets him, reinforcing this, I'm the only one who understands your pain, everyone else has failed you. This isolates him from alternative support systems, his family, old friends, and even second moms. Second, it weaponizes his fear of abandonment, which is a core wound for Harry. She could manipulate him by suggesting that if he doesn't prioritize her, she might leave too. This subtly creates anxiety that if he doesn't comply, he'll face emotional abandonment again. And this is very reminiscent of how Harry has described their first date. He was late to their first date and he had such great anxiety that she would leave. And it's wild because at this point, they hadn't even met yet. This actually shows just how vulnerable he was at the time, and I'm sure he is now. She could also have encouraged dependency. Instead of helping Harry to heal, Meghan amplified his orphan identity by keeping him in a childlike role where she is the rescuer. This ensures that he looks to her for approval, stability, and guidance. And if you've seen the shorts I make of Harry and Meghan's interactions, you observe exactly this. Next is she could control his access to comfort, essentially saying, when you do what I want, I comfort you. When you don't, I withhold warmth. With Harry's need for maternal affirmation, this becomes a powerful manipulation tool. Next, she could reinforce the narrative against his family. If Harry believes his own family didn't meet his needs, Meghan can amplify this narrative, saying things like, see, they never protected you. That's why you need me. By painting herself as his safe haven, she makes reconciliation with his family feel impossible. And finally, she could be exploiting his need to feel cherished. Harry's quotes about Tej, including petting me and cherishing the wildlife inside me, reveal his craving for unconditional acceptance. Meghan may have mirrored this at first, showering him with affection and attention and words. And then she could have used withdrawal or criticism to keep him chasing that validation. I next want to give you a checklist of things to watch out for in your own relationships. Number one, they say, only I understand you. Number two, they discourage you from reconnecting with people who supported you in the past. Number three, they reward you for emotional dependency and punish you for independence. Number four, they offer comfort only when you comply. And finally, number five, they use your wounds to make themselves the hero of your healing story. Let's end this video with an affirmation. I am not too much. My needs are not a burden. I do not have to earn love by staying small, agreeable, or endlessly loyal to someone who feeds on my vulnerability. Harry's orphan wound doesn't excuse his cruelty towards his family, but it does explain why he's so easy to manipulate. The question is, how long can he live in this perpetual victim narrative before it consumes everyone around him? I'm curious to know what you all think about this. Please drop your thoughts in the comments. If this was interesting to you, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a new video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and you're looking for a meaningful way to support something beyond the screen, I'd love for you to consider making a donation to the National Domestic Violence Hotline in lieu of super chats and super stickers. They provide 24/7 support and resources for people in unsafe or overwhelming situations, whether that's emotional, physical, or just hard to name. Their information is on the screen should you need to contact them, and you'll find the link to donate in the description of this video. Every little bit helps, and it means a lot. Thank you again for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.